Zealous. Zealous. I went to see the dolphin show today, and the seals were so cute. The seals were all super zealous to show off their talents. There was the one with the ball on his nose and the one jumping through hoops. Zealous seals are the best. Zealous means enthusiastically devoted to something, which definitely refers to those seals. The zealous seals at the show were adorable. Devoted. Zealous. Pretentious. Pretentious. Let's say you are thinking about building a tent. It hasn't even been built yet, hence pre-tent. But you go on and on, bragging about your beautiful, amazing tent. That is being pretentious. Pretentious means attempting to impress, often beyond what you have. A pretentious person would brag about his tent, although he technically does not have one yet. Pretentious. Which is precisely what wistful means. Wistful means yearning. Wistful. W-I-S-T-F-U-L. Or sadly longing. So you are full of wish. Think of wistful thinking, wistful wishes. The first part of wistful is wishful thinking in sort of a sentimental way. Wishful is wistful. Wist, which is kind of similar to wish. Then it would be wishful. Yearning. Wistful. Willful. W-I-L-L-F-U-L. Have you heard of the phrase, if there is a will, there is a way? Well, a will is having your mind set on something. Similarly, willful means deliberate or insistent on having one's way. Simply put, willful means full of will. That is not too difficult, right? Deliberate. Willful. Verbose. V-E-R-B-O-S-E. Don't you hate it when people go on and on about something when it could have been summarized up nicely in like a couple of sentences? Those people are being verbose. Verbose means using too many words or not being succinct. People who are verbose are not efficient with their words and can often bore their listeners. You can remember verbose easily because the start of this word is verb. So just imagine listening to lines after lines of just verbs. What a boring and long day that would be. Using too many words. Verbose. Utopia. U-T-O-P-I-A. Imagine what a perfect world would look like. No crimes, no disasters, just calm beaches and warm sunshine every day. A society in which everyone is happy and no one is left behind. What would this paradise be called? It would be called a utopia, or a utopian society. What a world to live in, right? Utopia means an ideal society, and it would be great to live in a utopia. An ideal society. Utopia. Uniform. U-N-I-F-O-R-M. I'm sure you know what uniform is. A lot of schools make their students wear uniforms to class. Does your school make you wear a uniform? If so, what does your uniform look like? Uniforms are designed so that the students wearing them look uniform. Wait, what? That's right, the word uniform has an adjective meaning of being consistent, unchanging, or the same for everyone, just like a school's uniform. Since your uniforms don't really change, this will be an easy one for you to remember, right? Consistent and unchanging. Uniform. Temperate. T-E-M-P-E-R-A-T-E. The Earth's biomes are composed of different zones, such as the tropical rainforest, desert, tundra, and the temperate rainforest. If the tropical rainforest is extremely hot and humid, what would the temperate rainforest be like? That's right. It's a milder, moderate version of the tropical rainforest. Temperate means just that. Mild, moderate, and restrained. Hence, whenever you see the word temperate, think of the milder weather and precipitation fluctuations of the temperate rainforest. Mild, moderate, restrained. Temperate. Tangible. Tangible. I have lots of different fruits in my hands. Look, I've got a banana, some strawberries, some grapes, and even a tangerine. A tangerine in my hands. Why, that reminds me of the word tangible. Tangible means touchable or palpable, since I can physically hold a tangerine in my hands. Tangerines are tangible objects. Tangerine, tangible. Touchable, tangible. Qualify. Qualify. Often in factories and other manufacturing lines, a quality control is performed to make sure all their products are to an acceptable standard of production. In other words, the manufacturers want to qualify their goods so that they would all be of equal quality. Qualify means to modify or restrict. If the goods are not up to a certain quality, the manufacturers will qualify their products accordingly. To modify or restrict. Qualify. Paradox. Paradox. What is a paradox? If you are afraid of heights, but your job is a professional skydiver, that would be a paradox. If you are a clown, but are scared of Jack-in-the-Box, that would be a paradox. If you are scared of dogs, but live with 5 dogs, that would be a paradox. See a trend here? A paradox is a true statement or phenomenon that nonetheless seems to contradict itself. Think of a clown who is scared of a Jack-in-the-Box. Paradox? Box? Something contradictory. Paradox. Paradigm. Paradigm. Do you know what I love? Parades. I love the Thanksgiving parade, the New Year's Eve parade, and even the Christmas parade. Parades are the paradigm of my interests. What does that mean? Well, the word paradigm means a model or an example of something. So that would mean that parades exemplify what I love. Paradigm. A model or example. Paradigm. 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 Do you know what I love? Parades. I love the Thanksgiving parade, the New Year's Eve parade, and even the Christmas parade. Parades are the paradigm of my interests. What does that mean? Well, the word paradigm means a model or an example of something. So that would mean that parades exemplify what I love. Paradigm. A model or example. Paradigm. Pacify. Pacify. Close your eyes and imagine the Pacific Ocean, the warm sea breeze, the beautiful sparkling water, and the perfectly still white sand beaches. All these relaxing images of the Pacific Ocean is so lovely, can't you just fall asleep from just daydreaming? Ha! I just pacified y'all. To pacify someone is to calm someone down or to soothe someone. The calm, relaxing image of the Pacific Ocean totally pacified you guys. Am I right? When you hear the word pacify, think of those seashells and pretty white beaches. To calm. Pacify. Painstaking. Painstaking. All right, time for another word dissection. The word for now is painstaking. Right away I see pain and I see staking. I'm sure you know what pain is, and staking means to support. So supporting pain? What could that mean? Well, painstaking means being extremely careful or taking pains. Think of it like this. A scientist planned his experiments so painstakingly in detail that he had to endure the pain of staying in his laboratory for days at a time. Extremely careful. Painstaking. Obtuse. O-B-T-U-S-E. What is an obtuse angle? You learn in geometry that an obtuse angle is any angle that is larger than 90 degrees. Well, let's try to extrapolate on that definition. If an obtuse angle is a large angle, what would the word obtuse mean aside from the context in geometry? Actually, obtuse means insensitive or blockheaded. Think of it like this: a tiny person with a giant obtuse head who is not listening to a single word anyone else is saying. Can you picture it? Insensitive or blockheaded. Obtuse. Obscure. O-B-S-C-U-R-E. Obscure. Hidden in the mystical forest, a hint of clouds circumnavigated the mythic doe in a ghastly yet foreboding embrace. Get what I'm talking about? No? Good. That means I've done my job. I was trying to give you a glimpse of obscurity to puzzle all y'all. Obscure means unknown, dark, and hard to understand. When it is so dark and misty outside, you better hope there is a security officer on duty. Security for obscurity? Hard to understand. Obscure. Nostalgia. N-O-S-T-A-L-G-I-A. Ah, one of my favorite words. Nostalgia. Let's put this into perspective. Imagine you are a horse, and you normally live in a stall. You are out with your rider, riding for the whole day, and then you are exhausted. You miss your home and your stall. There's no stall around, so you miss it even more. Get it? No stall. Hence, nostalgia. Nostalgia is a sentimental longing for the past or homesickness. A horse with no stall? Homesick and nostalgic. Nostalgia. Nebulous. N-E-B-U-L-O-U-S. We all live on the planet Earth. Our planet is actually part of a nebula called the Horsehead Nebula. Now, if you look at a picture of our nebula, does it 100% accurately look like a horse's head? Probably not. It'll look somewhat like a horse's head, but will be too hazy and vague to be an exact replica. Likewise, nebulous means vague, hazy, and indistinct. For instance, you might say that the boundaries of the Horsehead Nebula were too nebulous to resemble an actual horse's head. Hazy, nebulous. Narcissism. N-A-R-C-I-S-S-I-S-M. In Greek mythology, Narcissus was a boy who fell in love with his own reflection in the pond. From that, could you guess what narcissism would mean? Narcissism means an excessive love for one's body or oneself. A person who looks in the mirror excessively and loves taking selfies may be a narcissistic person. Imagine Narcissus taking 1,000 selfies per day. A person suffering from narcissism is a narcissist. Excessive self-love. Narcissism. Malleable. M-A-L-L-E-A-B-L-E. When you say something is malleable, you are saying that it is easy to shape or bend. Something that can be easily moldable is a malleable thing. A person can also be considered malleable. For instance, if someone is often swayed by others and can easily be manipulated, then he or she is a malleable person. Moldable, malleable. Easy to shape or bend. Malleable. Malignant. M-A-L-I-G-N-A-N-T. Malicious, malignant, mal. Lots of words that start with the letters M-A-L means evil or harmful. Likewise, a malignant tumor is a tumor that is cancerous and thus will cause harm. Just remember, when a word begins with mal, it is most likely something harmful and evil. Malignant means causing harm. Expected, right? Harmful, malignant. Lethargy. Lethargy. Put the words lack and energy together, and you can get the word lethargy. Lethargy refers to sluggishness, laziness, drowsiness, or indifference. Hence, a lack of energy would be the exact definition of lethargy. A lethargic person has no drive or motivation. A lethargic staff is not likely to be helpful, and a lethargic dog will not fetch the ball when you throw it. Laziness and indifference. Lethargy. Levity. Levity. When you talk about the gravity of a situation, you are referring to the seriousness of that situation. On the other hand, if you are talking about the levity of the situation, you mean the exact opposite. Gravity and levity sound similar, but have completely opposite definitions. Since levity begins with an L, and L could stand for being light, levity refers to lightness, frivolity, and unseriousness. Levity would be the opposite of gravity. Can you remember that? Lightness, levity. Latent. Latent. Another tent word. All right, latent. What could latent mean? Well, it does have the word tent in it. Maybe the definition also has the word tent in it. That's right. Latent means potential. Hey, 2 tent words in one. That should be an easy one to remember. Latent potential. Latent actually means present, but not visible or apparent, or potential. Potential. Latent. Lament. Lament. I wonder what the word lament would mean. Well, let's imagine you were super hungry and you wanted to have something sweet. So you go to your fruit basket and pick up the first fruit you can catch with your hands. Yellow and round. Aha! Must be a tangerine. You peel the fruit and take a first bite. And it's sour? Turns out the fruit was a lemon, not a tangerine. This is really too bad, since that would be the only thing you would have time to eat today. You sadly lament your lemon. Lament means to mourn. Lament. Kinetic. Kinetic. Let's have some fun and fly a kite. Wow, the wind is blowing and our kite is moving so fast. That kite has a lot of kinetic energy. Kinetic means having to do with motion, lively or active. A person can also be kinetic too. A kinetic person is someone who has a lively and active personality. So imagine a lively person running around flying a fast-moving kite. Having to do with motion. Kinetic. Juxtapose. Juxtapose. What does it mean to pose two people or objects? Well, like in photo shoots, you pose things next to one another to make them look good for your photo. Similarly, if you say juxtapose, that would mean that you are putting things next to one another or posing them together. Just a pose, please. Let me juxtapose. To place things side by side. Juxtapose. Incandescent. Incandescent. Here is an interesting word. Incandescent. Right off the bat, I see the word candle amidst incandescent. Could the two words be somehow related? Why, yes. Incandescent means brilliant or giving off heat or light, which is exactly what a candle does. A candle gives off heat and light, so a candle is an incandescent object. A light bulb is also an incandescent object. Candle, incandescent. Giving off light or heat. Incandescent. Implement. Implement. To implement something means to carry something out. Let me demonstrate. For instance, you can implement a plan to raise your grades for the upcoming semester, or you can implement directions and guidelines for your team to follow. Think of it like implanting something and carrying it out, because the word implant sounds like the word implement. You implant laws and implement them. To carry out, implement. Impartial. I-M-P-A-R-T-I-A-L. Here is another word with the prefix im. What does the prefix im mean again? It means not and opposite of. So, if you are impartial or not partial to it, it means you don't favor any one particular side. Hence, you can correctly guess what the word impartial means, fair and not favoring one side over the other. Judges need to try their best to be impartial so they can make a fair decision. Unbiased. Impartial. Impeccable. I-M-P-E-C-C-A-B-L-E. Let's do a word dissection. The word for today is impeccable. Straight away I see the prefix im, and then I see peck. When a bird pecks on you, which sounds like peck, only with different spelling, it is almost as if the bird is somehow expressing its disapproval for something to you. Well, add that with the prefix. It could mean that there is nothing to peck at. What does that mean? Well, impeccable means flawless and entirely without sin. Therefore, there is nothing for the bird to peck at because it is flawless. Impeccable cannot be pecked at. Flawless. Impeccable. Immigrate. I-M-M-I-G-R-A-T-E. The word immigrate sounds a lot like the word emigrate, doesn't it? Well, an easy way to avoid this confusion is to think immigrate starts with the letter I, so think in. And for emigrate, it starts with the letter E, so think exit. Immigrate. To immigrate is to move permanently to a new country. With the letter I, immigrate. To move to a new country, immigrate. Illicit. I-L-L-I-C-I-T. What would be some illegal activities? Well, to start, stealing from a person or punching another person would be illegal. Illegal, illicit? Similar enough, right? Illicit means not permitted. Illicit businesses and illicit activities are illegal deeds. Illegal, illicit. Immutable. I-M-M-U-T-A-B-L-E. A mutation is something that has been changed from the norm. The prefix im means not and opposite of. Hence the word immutable means not mutable, which in turn correlates to not changeable. Actually, immutable means unchangeable, just as we had predicted. It always helps to look at the prefixes to decipher the meaning of the word. Unchangeable, immutable. Ideology. I-D-E-O-L-O-G-Y. All right, the next word on our list is ideology. Immediately, the first four letters of ideology spell idea. Ideology is just a system of social or political ideas. So just remember that idea plus ology becomes a whole system of ideas. The more letters there are, the bigger the idea. A system of ideas. Ideology. Iconoclast. I-C-O-N-O-C-L-A-S-T. Here is an interesting word, iconoclast. Let's dissect this word piece by piece. To start, it starts with an I, and then kono. Sounds like common? Okay, and classed definitely sounds like clashing or going against something. So put it all together, and what do you get? I go against common. Bullseye. An iconoclast is someone who attacks popular beliefs or institutions. The clues were all in the word itself. One who attacks popular beliefs. iconoclast. Homogeneous. Homogeneous. The prefix homo refers to things that are alike. If you have a homogeneous mixture, you can deduce from the prefix homo that this mixture is uniform. Homogeneous means made entirely of one thing. Think of a homogeneous mixture of juice, in which the different fruits are all mixed together and cannot be easily separated. To remember the word homogeneous, just think of the prefix homo and the image of a juice with many fruits all mixed together. Made entirely of one thing. Homogeneous. Hierarchy. Hierarchy. In the wild, birds and other animals have sort of a pecking order or a natural hierarchy. For instance, in a herd of lions, the male lion eats first, followed by the female lions in descending age order. A hierarchy is an organization based on rank or degree, which correlates to this natural order in the wild. This can also be applied in office settings and schools. A good way to remember the word hierarchy is to think of a high arch. There is a high arch on the prairie, and the dominant lions on the high arch get to eat first. Up on the high arch, up on the hierarchy. Pecking order. Hierarchy. Heyday. Heyday. Hey, remember back in the day when we were so awesome? Those were definitely our heyday. Heyday means golden age or prime. When you hear the word heyday, just refer back to the statement, hey, remember that day? Simple enough, right? Golden age. Heyday. Hackneyed. Hackneyed. If you use the same hockey sack for 10 years, you have probably overused that hockey sack. Likewise, hackneyed means overused or trite. Sayings such as don't judge a book by its cover or as cold as ice are all examples of hackneyed expressions. So if you want to be unique and cool, stop using hackneyed sayings. It is time to get a brand new hockey sack. Overused. Hackneyed. Guile. Guile. Guile means cunning, duplicity, or artfulness. A cunning fox might use his guile to trick an innocent rabbit. On the other hand, guileless means innocent or naive, so the opposite of guile. Be careful not to confuse the word guile with the word beguile. Both means to deceive, but beguile doesn't necessarily have a negative connotation the way guile does. Using guile to pass high school may mean you are cheating your way through passing classes. Cunning or duplicity. Guile. Gregarious. Gregarious. Greg and Gary sure are getting along well. Who would believe that they've only just met today? Greg and Gary are very sociable. Greg and Gary are gregarious. Hey, if you put the names Greg and Gary together, you get gregarious. How perfect! Gregarious means sociable and enjoying the company of others, just like Greg and Gary. Sociable. Gregarious. Gravity. Gravity. The gravity of the situation refers to the seriousness of the situation. Think of it like this. Since gravity can also mean the force of the earth that pulls you towards it, the seriousness of the situation anchors you down. For instance, the gravity of Judy's alcohol addiction prevented her from doing her daily routines. Here, the gravity of her addiction is weighing her down and anchoring her, which prevents her from carrying out her daily needs. Seriousness. Gravity. Gratuitous. Gratuitous. A gratuity is a tip you give the waitress or waiter at the end of your meal to show your token of appreciation. Similarly, but not quite, gratuitous means given freely, said of something bad. Gratuitous can also mean unjustified, unprovoked, or uncalled for. Although gratuitous sounds similar to gratuity and both are given freely, they have the opposite connotations. A gratuity is a pleasant and nice thing, but gratuitous is not a nice thing. Unjustified or uncalled for. Gratuitous. Grandiose. Grandiose. I have a grandiose plan to memorize all the words in the dictionary in just one day. Here is another grand scheme. I'm going to eat all the burgers in McDonald's today for lunch. That is also a grandiose plan. Get it yet? Grandiose means absurdly exaggerated. There is no way that I can memorize all the words in the dictionary in just one day. It's a grand idea, but probably won't happen in real life. Overly exaggerated. Grandiose. Genre. Genre. Okay, you know there are many types of books. There are fictions, non-fictions, adventure, science fiction, history, and the list just goes on. Well, each of these types of books is a genre. For instance, novels are a type of genre, and other would be poetry. A genre refers to a type or category, especially of art or writing. Think of a journal category being a genre. Journal, genre. A type of or a category. Genre. Finesse. Finesse. Finesse means skillful maneuvering, subtlety, or craftiness. You can remember the word finesse by thinking of the word fineness. Things that are fine and good have good attention to detail and are nice and crafty. Things that are fine have certain finesse to them. That makes it easier to remember, right? Skillful maneuvering or craftiness. Finesse. Figurative. Figurative. Do you know the difference between figurative and literal? Well, literal means something is actually happening right there. On the other hand, figurative refers to being based on figures of speech, or expressing something in terms usually used for something else, like a metaphor. You can figuratively say that the number of rats are going to kill you, although no rats are actually out to get you. Figuratively, be careful not to confuse literally with figuratively. Metaphorical, figurative. Fauna, Fauna. When someone says the word flora, he or she is referring to all the beautiful plants in the world. When they say fauna, they mean the other living things aside from flora, which are animals. Fauna refers to the animals in a given area. For instance, the flora of the tropical rainforest consists of tall leafy trees, shrubs, and canopies, while the fauna of the tropical rainforest consists of small frogs, monkeys, and colorful birds. Plants, flora. Animals, fauna. Fatalist. Fatalist. The word fatal means lethal or deadly. Now, if we could just extend that definition by a little, we could guess what the word fatalist would mean. A fatalist is someone who believes that future events are already determined and that humans are powerless to change them. Fatalists are the people that think the future is already lethal. Easy enough? Someone who believes the future is doomed. Fatalist. Enervate. Enervate. Enervate reminds me of two very distinct words, energy and elevator. Well, I think I can create a story of these two words to convey the meaning of enervate. Enervate means to reduce the strength or energy of, especially to do so gradually. You can see the word energy is already in the word enervate. Then think about energy riding in a descending elevator. Hence, energy gradually dropping. Energy downward elevator. Get it? To gradually reduce the energy of. Enervate. Empirical. EMPIRICAL. An empire needs to be built on a solid foundation, not just hey-say theories. In this sense, an empire needs to be empirical. Empirical means relying on the experience or observation and not merely theoretical. In order for an empire to be self-standing and strong, it must be built empirically, not merely theoretically, relying on experience or observation. Empirical. Emigrate. EMIGRATE. You guys recall the word immigrate, meaning to move to a new country, right? Well then, what could emigrate mean? Emigrate means to leave a country permanently, or to expatriate. In essence, to emigrate is the opposite of immigrate. You can easily remember this because emigrate begins with the letter E for exit. To exit a country permanently. Emigrate. Elliptical. ELLPTICAL. A circle is perfectly round, with all points being equidistant from the center. On the other hand, an ellipse is not perfectly round and is more oval-shaped. An ellipse is elliptical. Elliptical is an interesting word with lots of meanings. It can mean oval, missing a word, words, or obscure. Depending on the situation and the context it is used in, elliptical can have a variety of implications. Just remember, a circle is perfectly round, while an ellipse is not. So there is an air of obscurity surrounding it. Oval or obscure. Elliptical. Elicit. ELICIT. To elicit something is to bring it out, or to call forth. For instance, your friend could coax you to elicit your true feelings, or the defendant could try to elicit sympathy from the jury. How can you remember this? Maybe you can imagine your friend Eli trying to elicit your true feelings by asking you very personal questions that are at the heart of your conflict. To bring out or to fall forth. Elicit. Efface. EFFACE. This one is for all you girls. After a long day at school and a dinner party out with friends, what do you need to do when you get home? You need to brush your teeth and wash away all that makeup, of course. Or shall we say, efface the makeup on your face? Since makeup is on your face, to efface it will sound like you are removing or rubbing away the features of it from your face. That is exactly what efface means. Efface, erase from face. To erase. Efface. Egocentric. EGOCENTRIC. Let's dissect this word apart. Ego and centric. Centered around one's ego. The word egocentric means selfish and believing that one is the center of everything. Actually, that matches up perfectly with our word dissection. Egocentric, centered around one's ego. Because that person is selfish and believes he or she is the center of everything. Perfect. Now we'll never forget. Selfish, egocentric. Egalitarian. EGALITARIAN. Egalitarian refers to believing in the social and economic equality of all people. An egalitarian is a person who advocates for egalitarianism. Egal sounds kind of like equal, so it will be an easy one to remember. Egal and equal. Egalitarian is equality for all people. Believing in equality for all, egalitarian. Vestige. Vestige. Have you guys heard of the term vestigial organs? Let me illustrate. Appendixes in humans and wings of penguins are both examples of vestigial organs because they are remnants of evolutionary anatomy that do not serve a real purpose. That's why people can live without appendixes. Likewise, the noun form of vestigial is vestige, and it means a remaining bit of something or a last trace. Think of a king. Even after he dies, his prestige will remain. Vestige, prestige. A last trace, vestige. Vernacular. Vernacular. Please refrain from utilizing vernacular for proper decorum. Huh? What? That was a very extravagant sentence riddled with long and difficult words. Actually, that was to prove a point, because vernacular actually means the opposite of that sentence. Vernacular means everyday speech, slang, or an idiom. See what I did there? If I say the same sentence in vernacular, it goes as follows. Stop talking in slang, y'all. Get it? Take off your fancy binoculars and use vernacular speech. Everyday speech or slang. Vernacular.